We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Israel responds to attacks. The Biden administration unveils new proposals and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The Israeli military blamed the Palestinian militant group Hamas for a barrage of rockets fired into northern Israel from southern Lebanon, the biggest single rocket attack from Lebanon in 17 years. Israel, which responded with airstrikes inside Lebanon, said 6 of the 34 rockets hit its territory, damaging buildings. The rest were blocked by the Iron Dome defense system. The rocket fire came after Israeli police raided the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, Islam's third holiest site, and clashed violently with Palestinians there. Palestinian militants in the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip also fired about 24 rockets, and the Israeli military responded with airstrikes. The violence came as Muslims observed Ramadan and Jews celebrated Passover. The incident started because Palestinians refused to leave the mosque after it was set to close, violating local laws. A report released by the White House attempts to blame the chaos that erupted during the 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan on a lack of preparation by former President Donald Trump. The 12-page summary of the report repeated the debunked claim that President Biden was severely constrained by Trump's choices, including the 2020 peace deal with the Taliban. Due to the Taliban violating that deal, it was in abeyance, and Biden was not constrained by it in any way. The report said the subsequent rapid takeover by the Taliban created problems with evacuating Americans and Afghan civilians. The report ignored testimony from Biden's own generals who stated under oath that Biden ignored their warnings. The report also ignored the billions of dollars of equipment left behind, the Afghan allies who were abandoned, and the 13 soldiers who died because the State Department refused to let a soldier take out the terrorist bomber despite having the ability to stop him with one shot. Still, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said he didn't see any chaos and that Biden's decision to withdraw U.S. forces was the right one, adding, "The United States had long ago accomplished its mission to remove from the battlefield the terrorists who attacked us on 9/11. Recently, the Defense Department and intelligence officials have stated that Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan had reformed and now has the ability to attack America and its allies within 6 months. The Biden administration is weighing an aggressive proposal to implement the tightest ever federal regulations governing tailpipe emissions in an effort to boost electric vehicles. The Environmental Protection Agency is expected to announce the new standards, which will impact cars manufactured between 2027 and 2032, next week during a ceremony in Detroit, according to a report by Bloomberg. In a statement, the EPA confirmed the standards are designed to incentivize consumers to purchase electric vehicles. Already, President Biden's Investing in America agenda is powering a domestic clean energy manufacturing boom, lowering costs for American families and creating good-paying union jobs, the EPA said. As directed by the president in an executive order, the EPA is developing new standards that will build on this historic progress and support the transition to a zero-emissions transportation future. lowering costs for consumers and protecting people and the planet, the agency's statement continued. Because they are currently under interagency review, the EPA cannot comment further on the rules. The EPA's statement ignored rising gas prices and the fact that electric vehicles still remain out of reach for most American families due to their higher cost. The Biden administration has also refused to allow mining for the rare earth elements necessary to create these electric cars, and creating more of a reliance on China for these materials. The Biden administration has also proposed a rule against the Title IX protection of women in sports by allowing biological men to compete in women's sports. The proposal would only let K-12 schools prevent transgender athletes from competing at highly competitive levels of sports for older students, when letting them play could undermine fairness in competition or increase the risk of injuries. The fact of the matter is, all sports, when you allow men to compete against women, undermines fairness in competition and increases the risk of injuries. The Education Department said the plan would advance the goal of ensuring equal opportunity in athletics while providing much-needed clarity to public schools and universities. 20 states require athletes to compete under the sex on their birth certificates. This policy would go against those laws and will surely end up being adjudicated in the legal system. U.S. hiring slowed in March as the once rock-solid labor market began to soften in the face of high interest rates and stubborn inflation. Employers added 236,000 jobs in March, according to the Labor Department, mostly in line with the 239,000 jobs forecast by economists. The unemployment rate, meanwhile, ticked lower to 3.5% as the labor force increased to the highest level since before the pandemic began. This marked the lowest monthly jobs gain since December 2020. While monthly jobs data is always important, the Federal Reserve is closely watching this particular report for signs the labor market is finally cooling as policymakers try to cool the inflation with a series of interest rate hikes. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.